Hakukole, chants, songs, and sayings of ridicule. Okay? So just to start from the beginning, Hakukole, it means to defame, to ridicule, as in figurative language, and chant. Or you can be the mea Hakukole. Yeah, you can be the Hakukole-er, so to speak. Hakukole chants and sayings could be precomposed or spontaneous. The important thing, like with any mele, that it has to be delivered in a public forum. Yeah, it has to go from the mouth, from the waha, to the pepeao of the listeners. Whether that listener is your object of scorn, or better yet, if the object of scorn is there, and get audience all around. Yeah, because that delivers the highest psychological impact of damage. Okay, that's really what it is. That's what a Hakukole does. It damages the person psychologically. Yeah. Hakukole is an often overlooked facet of oratory. It embodies a broad network of poetry that reflects one part of the entire cultural fabric, negative emotion. Yeah. We forget, how did our kupuna, pre-contact especially, kupuna deal with irritation? How did they deal with anger? How did they deal with infidelity? Yeah, and Hakukole is one of those avenues. So you can find Hakukole in mele, in geographical epithets, in vocabulary, nonverbal communication, and we'll talk a little bit about that, as well as, lack of better word, I'm not sure about olelo no eau, but I put them up there anyway because that's what we kind of are accustomed to. Yeah. According to Kui, people could be hired out. Hakumele could be hired out as verbal assassins. Yeah, you could hire out a hakumele to compose a hakukole for somebody that like. Yeah, and so I think that's the difference with kakaolelo. I think kakaolelo is much more on your toes kind of action. Hakukole permeated every aspect of our society, from ali'i to kawa, young and old, men and women, and geographic location. We're going to touch upon all of these as we move along our presentation today. And for those of us who are not quite ma'a with poetry, chants and sayings often relay important personal feelings in indirect poetic terms, right? So most of the time, most of the stuff that we know talk about love, talk about sex, praises an ali'i or place, talks about the pride of coming from an area, that's ancestral identification and land identification. There are mele to give thanks, and there are mele that also expresses fear. But in this case, what we're looking at is these emotions: anger, irritation, and jealousy. And again, for those of us who are familiar with the familiar subject within Kauna, so again, love, honorifics, ancestral and place identification. And oftentimes we utilize specific kinds of imagery, elementals, rains, winds, ocean, certain kinds of elements that are unique to a specific area to help identify where that mele is from. Certain kinds of plants and animals are used in mele that we already know, Iivi, different kinds of birds, all those kinds. Senses are also used, and that's kind of a familiar thing: what you smell, what you see, what you hear, what you taste, what you touch. But in Hakukole, again, it's the other side of the spectrum. So the things that we talk about, or the things that you read or study or hear, is about laziness, personal hygiene, if that person stink, skin color often comes into play, stupidity, race, shallowness, somebody who's not, the elevator will go all the way up to the top, speaking out of turn, or breaking some sort of social rule, talking too much, somebody who is a little bit maneo or a lot maneo, promiscuity, whether it's real or imagined, it doesn't matter, these are just a small example of some of the animals that we find in poetry for Hakukole. Yeah, so for instance, you have the muhe'e, and the muhe'e is, what is that in English?
Squid.
Squid, yeah. Cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish, yeah. The cuttlefish is the one that change color. Yeah, the thing change color, and it's not real big, yeah. I think they're only about like this big, and they kind of move forward, yeah. So the muhe'e is known for changing its colors. That's its characteristics. It also hypnotizes its prey. So it'll hover in front of its prey, and it'll start to like undulate, yeah, and change its colors. And it really does hypnotize its prey. And so the whatever it is they're going to eat, one fish or whatever, the thing kind of stop and go, whoa. And then what happens is the thing just grab them and eat them, yeah. And so the muhe'e in this thought process is somebody who's two-faced. Yeah. The muhe'e can also swim back and forth, forwards and backwards. Yeah. And so when you call somebody a muhe'e, that means they're two-faced. That they show you one side of them, certain colors, but actually their colors are something else. Yeah. The manakuke, yeah, and even though we see some post-contact animals, yeah, our kupuna always incorporated new things that they saw. Yeah, so the mongoose, yeah, the mongoose is known for stealing chicken eggs. Yeah, and so I have an example of a song for the manakuke for you to look at. The pua'a oftentimes is mentioned in Hakukole, especially when it comes to sex, and especially when it comes to men. Yeah, oversexed. The moa is much more female in the Hakukole that I found. The nayo, yeah, the pinworm, yeah, that's the worms that are found in your okole, yeah. Rats, iole, goes without saying, thievery, yeah. The Eva bird, yeah, I think, what is that in English? Frigate, yeah. Because oftentimes they steal. What they do is they harass other birds that have, in mid-flight, they'll harass another bird that has fish in its mouth, and it'll harass it in midair until the other bird drop the fish, and then they go down and scoop them. And so oftentimes in Mele, an Eva is a male who steals somebody else's lover. Yeah. Elelu, cockroach, yeah, and that's usually associated with foreigners. Yeah, calling them elelukes. Yeah, popoki, cats, and we'll take a look at one of the Hakukole sayings for them for the popoki later. The he'e, yeah, as in wahahe'e, wahahe'e, yeah, being a liar, slippery, slimy, yeah, all that kind. So these are just some. There are more, but these are the ones that you see frequently in Hakukole. Okay, so here's a snippet of a mele, and actually it was recorded by Auntie Vicky E. Rodriguez on her mele, on her album Na Mele Ohana. Yeah, and the story goes that there was a young woman who moved from one place to this particular area, and she was very beautiful, and all the women of that area hated her because she was so beautiful. So they called her the chicken stealing mongoose. Yeah, and the thing go, kaulana mai nei o kamaili ka iole manakuke ai hue moa he iole maamau no ke ia i ka ai hue ika moa keiki. Yeah, pleasant sound. Yeah, and that's the other thing about Hakukole, is that on the surface it sounds pleasant. It can, yeah, but it's the jabbing of the words underneath that. So you play the song and you smile and you sing, yeah, and that's part of the cutting, yeah. So yeah, check out that particular mele on her album. Okay, let's just get started. Some of these, of course, I couldn't find images for because some of them you don't want to see images of that. Okay, so okole ka mano, yeah, salmon anus. Yeah, this is a term that was used for white people who got sunburn. Yeah, okole ka mano. Kei kulana halewili a ohemea hana oloko. A fine-looking mill, but no machinery inside. Yeah. Pretty, but that's about it. Yeah. All facade. Nani ka ike akahe'i na wahi leho li'i. Yeah. Wonderful how the octopus notices the little cowries. Any ideas? Cowries. Any ideas? Yeah, leho. Leho is cowrie. Yeah, it's the what kind of shell that?
The red one, the brown one.
Yeah.
That one?
The cowrie, yeah, that kind. Yeah, most people never see the animal. Yeah. Okay, this was said in disgust of a man who was older who constantly looks at younger women. Yeah. And the other thing about Hakukole is that, there's lots of sarcasm. Yeah, our kupuna were very sarcastic. And so this is like, when you look at it like this, it doesn't seem like anything, but they're being sarcastic about it. Oh, good, nice. How that guy look over there? He's like that young thing. Yeah. Ihu hokeo. Gord knows. What you think? I'm gonna try tap you guys. Somebody who thinks too highly of themselves. Yeah. And so, like the gourd, when you throw the ipu onto the surface of the water, the thing float. Yeah. And so their nose constantly floats up like this, and they have to look down at you. Yeah. That's the ihu hokeo. I kani no kapahu I ka olohaka o loko. Yeah, it's the empty space inside that gives the drum its sound. What do you think? Kinda. Yeah. It's almost like this, I've seen shirts like this that says, I hear you, I see your lips moving, but all I hear is wah, wah, wah. Okay. Yeah. And so this is kind of is like that, somebody who's loud and boisterous, but not very smart inside. Yeah. No kai pa pa upa. Perhaps from low tide.
Shallow.
Yes.
Very shallow.
Shallow. Yeah, somebody who's not very deep, but shallow. Yeah. No kai pa pa upa. Hei pupala ole. Yeah, a calabash without a dab of poi in it. Yeah. Kind of self-explanatory. We get them, yeah? Okay. Hei pupala ole. He ma uka uka hoi heva. Some people might know this, especially if you sing mele, that have this phrase. It's quite famous. Yeah? Unskilled at paddling. Eh? Anybody know? Not good at sex. Bad at sex. Yeah. There's one that's about surfing. Same thing. Yeah. And it takes some skill to paddle a canoe. Yeah? And so same thought process with making love. Yeah, you got to have skill. He ho'olua pi ka'o. There should be an okina between the A and the O. Yeah. Food that has to be recooked. Nope. See, when I put these together, I used to put them together in categories, but I decided not to so that we can jump around. Yeah. Almost, you're warm.
So you don't do it good the first time and you have to do it again?
No. This is rude retort for somebody who's stupid. Yeah. So stupid, they gotta throw you back in the imu. And leave you in a little bit more long to cook. Yeah, so you have to, so I think the Haole term is half-baked. Yeah? So he ho'olua pi ka'o. Cha, ke lele mai nei ka pau'o. The pau'o fish is leaping. There's two things for this. There's two mana'o for this. A jumper, what? Exactly. Yeah. The pau'o fish, if you go down to the tide pools, yeah, there's that long ding-ding looking one. Yeah. And they're famous for going from tide pool to tide pool to tide pool to tide pool. So this is somebody who is promiscuous, and more specifically a male. Yeah. Specifically a male. Specifically. Okay? But this also, and you're not going to guess this one, but it's also when you have a young toddler. Yeah, and this is a scolding thing for the mother. Yeah, you know when the kid get hanabara coming down like this, and the thing just come out of the kind, and they go, and the thing go back in, and then the thing come back down again, and they go, and the thing go back in. That's that pau'o fish going in and out of their hole. Yeah, so that's what that is. Okay? So when you see hanabara coming down the kids, the kind, that's tara to the mara. Puha heva, this is kind of nice. Puha heva kahonu I kala makani. Yeah, the turtle breathes at the wrong moment on a windy day. This is very poetic. Yeah, what do you think this is saying? Choke. Mm-mm.
Wrong time. There's bad timing.
Bad timing. What else? No. It's like when you say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Yeah. For instance, when I see a woman, and even though she might look pregnant to me, I'll never say, "Oh, when?" Yeah. "Oh, you hapai." Yeah. Because I've been burned where there wasn't hapai. And so you feel real stupid. Yeah, kind of thing. So unless I see the water break, I'm not going to ever say to a woman, "Are you expecting?" I don't care. I'm not saying nothing. Yeah. So puha heva, it's just saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. Yeah. Puha heva kahonu I kala makani. Yeah. Okay. Oke a pili mai. Sticky sand. Almost. Hanger-oners. Yeah, people who just hang around too much. Yeah, they're like sand stuck to your leg, and you gotta like scrub them off, and it's kind of actually irritating. Yeah, so it's not a nice thing. A ole I maneu iho ke kumu pepeau I kauhi meni. Yeah, even the base of the ear isn't tickled by your singing. Yeah, in other words, what you're saying to me is not important. Yeah, it's not really about singing. Yeah, they're kind of like, shh, shut up. Yeah, yeah, don't say anything. Yeah, that's really what it is. Oh, yeah, that's the cuttlefish. Hemu he'e. Yeah, somebody who's two-faced. A cuttlefish. You find a lot of this reference in 19th century chant, especially. Okay. This one is a famous Hakukole. Yeah. And piuke ona, kaulana maine o piuke ona la au he avale ana oe. This melody is vicious, and it sounds so pretty, but it ain't. Yeah. So the story and the version that we know and the version that I have here is not the original version. There's a much longer chant form version that has chalk verses. I don't know who took that chant and reconfigured it into a melekula like this. But if you look at the original, it just goes on and vicious and so the story is that there was a half Mexican, half Hawaiian man living in Hilo, and he had a girlfriend named Polani. And so, all the girls was jealous because he was really handsome. And so they got a hold of him, all the girls in the area, and said, your girlfriend, she's talking stink about you. Yeah, she said that, you're going half, your banana is skinny, and that you're not very good in bed. And so like a dummy, he wouldn't believe. And he was an extraordinary hakumele. And so he composed this to get back at her. And he, for lack of a better word, he delivered it in public at some public event. And she was horrified. And so what you're supposed to do when somebody hakukole you is that you're supposed to be able, well, hopefully, if you're skilled enough, you can come back, yeah, and be just as good and defend yourself. And if you cannot, then you're forever remembered as that. Right. And so when you look at the words of this, piuke ona, kaulana maine o piuke onala. Yeah, piuke is another, it's like pihi. Yeah, it's beauty. Yeah, fish and pihi. Piuke is beauty. So drunken beauty. I'm so beautiful, I'm drunk with it. Yeah. He's talking about himself. I am famous. Kaulana maine o piuke onala. Now pay attention. Yeah. Kahilima kuia mauke alanala. Yeah. Pay attention to the smiting hand of mauke alana. Again, he's naming himself that mauke alana means continually can float, continually can rise. So he's talking about his prowess, that he can always get it up. Yeah. And when he gets it up, he can snap you with it. Akahiala na ko'u mana'o, yeah? Pay attention, I've just entertained the thought that we should converse. But you better take heed, yeah? Ovau kai kapaia mai neila. Yeah, I was the one who was labeled or called, now pay attention, the half Mexican with a skinny banana. Yeah? Okay, so, but just so that you know, this little thin thing is magnetized. Yeah. It's electric. Yeah. And it comforts your shiny orifice. Yeah. But the pukalino how also, the imagery that I also know is that, in those farm movies, Western movies where they have the mother cooking in the kitchen and then everybody's out in the field and then dinner is ready, so she goes out onto the porch and she has that ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. That's what that is. That's a pukalino how. Yeah. So meaning that, that's how big yours is, and it's so big that it never gets, it always hits the sides. Yeah. Oh, it's vicious. It's vicious. And these verses, I tell you, when you see the original, these verses are the nice verses. Yeah, the force of the cleansing water, okahao kawai ho'omae mae. Yeah, now pay attention. Paupu mekalepo vai apiki. Yeah, will extract all of the dirts and toxins out of you. Yeah, that's the talent of my skinny banana. Yeah. And so, like with all good mele, you have to have a punny. Yeah, you got to have a closing. Yeah, and stuff. So, oftentimes, you go back to the beginning or, you know how it goes. Most